Don't delay, do it today. Yo, yo, yo. Okay. I like to rap too.
I love her so much. Hey guys, welcome back to the Daily Chat. I'm so excited for today's video. As you can see, we have a guest with us. Yay. She is so amazing and I'm so excited to have her here on the channel. If it's your first time here, hello, my name is Carla and today's special guest is Olivia Moore. She is just so wonderful and I'm so excited for all the insight you are going to give us today. So let's get to know her a little bit better. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, hey guys. So like Carla said, I'm Olivia. I'm so excited to be here. I'm Carla's friend, first and foremost.
Yes.
And we're just enjoying this little hippie picnic here right now.
Yes, we're just here in the grass, we're chilling.
But I don't know, I'm a motivational speaker. I love traveling and I've been preaching since I'm 15, not 15 anymore, too bad.
That's right.
But I'm single. Hey.
That's right. So as you see from the title, we're going to be tackling what it is to be single and also to be single and secure. That's a message that we've been hearing a lot recently. And being single with confidence, which is something that you don't often hear. I think that when we think about singleness, especially even in the Christian realm or just as ladies, it's always a burden to be single.
Right,
and it's always like, oh my gosh, like I just can't wait till I find Mr. Right. Like, where is he at?
I know.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes we're even like, where is my Boaz?
Right. And I know like so many times when people would ask me before, like, so are you dating anyone? Are you single? And even though I know I am like 100%, like 110% single, I like think about it, like I have to like pause and be like, oh wait, well there is, and I would find myself like trying to come up with these excuses of like, well, there is this one possibility or there is this one thing. I'm like, 1%. Why am I doing that? Like, I'm single, I can own that, I'm happy being single, and I just think that there's so much freedom in that when we just own the season that we're in, rather than wishing we were in some other season, wishing, because like we were talking about that it's so easy to get that timetable in our head of like wishing that we were in some other season, when this season we're only gonna get this time right now. Like we need to enjoy this time of our life, and it's not just enjoying it, but I really believe that God wants us to be an adventure like no other time.
Yes, and the reason why I thought she would be such a good guest on the Daily Chat today is because you live a lifestyle. You guys, you need to go her Instagram because you will stroll through there. I'm gonna put it right here just so you get a sneak peek, because you're just like, this girl is living her life. She is traveling all over the place, and not only that, you are on fire for God, sharing the word wherever she goes. Like we said, she's an author. This is her book. We'll talk about it in just a little bit. But when I see your lifestyle, I really see the phrase, as we mentioned, like single and secure, single and confident. And so can you talk about it, like what got you to kind of like just own being single and to really just do it with boldness? Because when I see your lifestyle, it's just like you are enjoying the season you are in, and not only that, you are like reaching so many people, just sharing the word that you have on your heart.
Oh, thank you. Well, a little backstory and what my book is also, touches about, so I'm 28, but I was married at a pretty young age, and I was always the type, I'm like a hopeless romantic, well, not so hopeless, right? It's like all the Hallmark movies, the Disney movies, and I like completely feed on that all the time. So, growing up, I never really was like the type of like, I have to get married young and I'm like not complete unless I'm like in a relationship. I never really had that mindset. Basically, I knew what I wanted in life. I started preaching when I was like 15.
Which is incredible.
God's good. But in my high school, there wasn't really anyone that's like, okay, we're like a little ministry couple, or whatever.
Power couple, as they say.
But once, I went off to Bible school and everything, and then met someone, and it was kind of like my first relationship of like, wow, like someone is interested in me. I had never really experienced that before, and I think especially as women, it can be easy to think like, because it hasn't happened yet, of like, what's wrong with me? Like guys just must not like me, or whatever it might be. So I had all these insecurities with that. So there was this one relationship where it's like, oh, I better jump on this. This might be my only chance, and just a bunch bunch of other things that
You're
just kind
so pretty. I don't know how she thinks that.
That's so sweet. But it's just, you know, the enemy will try whatever angle he can, whatever doors that we open up, and with a bunch of other things just added into that, you know, all of a sudden I found myself married, and it was a really unhealthy relationship. Long story short, we ended up getting a divorce. So now here I was. I had never felt like I needed to be in a relationship, but then after getting married, so much of my identity, I mean, I would never even take a picture by myself. It was always like, okay, I am his girlfriend, now I'm his wife.
Yeah.
And then even while being married, I really like stepped, so I mean, we did some ministry together, but the enemy just really attacked like my identity and where I was, and I was like in the background of everything. Like I felt like I just wasn't able to do anything. And then after getting a divorce, you know, the enemy's right there again, just trying to bring the lies of the enemy, saying, okay, well now, how can God ever use you now? Because I knew that, you know, God's call was on my life, whatever it might be, and just like there might be dreams in your heart, but we go through different things, we all go through different stuff, but the enemy will try to get us stuck right there. So now after being single again, and I'm just like trying to find out, like I'm so used to being married now, I'm so used to belonging to someone else to complete me. So God just really took me on this process, and it was like a crazy journey, but finally he got me to the place of where it's like, you know what, this is like a second chance at being alive. You know, God has got a second chances, fifth chances, 105th chances, and it was just like, I just remember him really just like depositing this vision back into my life of like, there is so much more of your life to live, and just this determination to live it like never before. And it's like, you don't need a man to complete you, you don't need a relationship status, because like after, you know, being single again, and then like some time passed, I remember thinking like, all right, let me like jump into another relationship now, which was like the last thing that I really needed to do. And then after doing that a little bit, it's like, I really just need to be single and just really enjoy this. And I mean, there's even not even that long ago, but I remember being at home alone. You know, sometimes that is single life. Sometimes you're home alone on a Friday night or whatever it might be, and you wish you were out, but you're not. And you know, and I remember guys, I know being single, you can talk to yourself a lot. I'm happy that I make myself laugh. Like I will be driving down the road and just like start to laugh, because thankfully I'm funny. I think I'm funny.
You're a great personality.
But I remember I just like talked out loud, and I was like, God, I'm so tired of being single. And I was just, you know, being real with him. And then all of a sudden he's like, you know what, that's the problem. He's not looking for tired singles, he's looking for strong singles.
Wow.
And you know, we know in the Bible that the joy of the Lord is our strength. And it just hit me. It's like, oh my gosh, like I can't be living my life waiting, you know, just waiting for this next thing, waiting for this next season. And because the enemy will try that with anything, even after you're married, even after you have that awesome relationship. So it's just like, no, like we can have joy in this waiting season, but like as we're waiting for the right one, that doesn't mean that we're just like sitting at home like, okay, like what am I gonna do with my life? It's like, no, like where the Bible talks about where there's no vision, the people perish, but God has made this a time of vision. And that was probably a long answer to your question. What was the question?
Yeah, that was really good, because I love what you're saying. So pretty much like that you want to be a single, but that is purposeful with your life. You don't want to be sitting around at home just waiting for Mr. Right or Mrs. Right to pop in and just hoping that it's gonna somehow, like how you said, like a Disney fairy tale happen. Like you need to be busy. And when you're talking about that, it really brings to mind Naomi and Ruth. So in that area, the only reason she met Boaz was because she was busy on the field. And you know, I think about just that whole story. And Naomi had two daughter-in-laws, and one of them decided to go back to her hometown because she just said that, you know what, like that is a better life for me. But I thought it was so cool how Ruth was like, nah, chill. Like I'm gonna go with you, and I'm not gonna sit at home bitter or upset that now I'm a widow, now that I'm single again. She said, I'm going to be busy. I'm going to go out and work. And as a result of that, God her a new husband.
Right.
And so that's really cool. I mean, I like totally embracing that as singles, we ought to be busy. I mean, if you're watching this and you're kind of like sitting in the bitterness of the season that you're in, that you are upset, that you're single, that you're asking God, like, God, why hasn't my time come? Maybe it's because you really can't be a helpmate to anybody if you don't have your stuff put together. And I think if we're secure with ourselves, if we're busy doing what God has asked us to do, then that would be such an amazing thing when you are called to somebody else and then both of you do what God's calling you to do together. But it's almost like you don't want to feel like you're dragging someone along the vision that God's given you.
That is so good. And I love that because, I mean, how many of us we say are in our future spouse, we want someone, I'm sure, like passionate.
Yes.
We want a big dreamer. We want someone who just is full into God. And it's like, so often we want these things, but it's like, all right, are we doing these things?
So good. Put a like on that. Okay, I'll like this video for that comment. But it's so true. It's so true. So the next question I'm going to ask you, so it's about identity, because another thing about being single is that we do put our identity that the person we're going to be with is going to make us happy, right? So we're feeling like, God, we're single and we want someone to do life with, but until we meet them, I'm not going to be fully happy. So we almost are like cutting ourselves short of really what God has for us. What was it like for you to get to that point where you're like, God, I'm just happy and content being single and doing what you have called me to do, and my fulfillment and my identity is not going to be in some guy or in some girl.
Well, let me just backstory that with so much of my personality, and I think you might be some of the same way, and I'm sure plenty of you, but just having that like all or nothing personality of like, all right, this is what we're supposed to do, like, let's make it happen, let's like do this. And I feel like it's so easy for me, like I am like actually, thank God I'm not doing this anymore, but like I would like stay up late, like we talked about being real on this, like I would be up till like, I don't know, like 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning, like stalking random guys on Instagram, like this is my husband, yo, like I know it is. And then like I'd be heartbroken when I found out he's engaged and it wasn't me.
Real talk right there.
And it's just like, God, I can so help you out with this. Like here, he's a preacher. He likes to he likes kids. Like, but you know, just really realizing that like, okay, I do not have to make this happen. Like God knows every desire of your heart. Like if you're there in that same boat of like, you're always like looking for that, I think it's great to be open to opportunities, possibilities, but just to know that the pressure is not on us to make this happen. Like God knows exactly what season that you're in, and he has a purpose for this time. Like life does not begin after you are in that relationship, but life is happening right now. And just to really embrace it and enjoy it. And like you're saying, like I really believe that sometimes people say, okay, well once I'm with someone else, then we'll step into that calling, or then I'll be comfortable and secure enough to step into that. But what if it's like, while you're going in that direction, that would bring, you know, that you'd be at the right place at the right time to meet that person. So you know, just realizing that there is a purpose for this time. And I really believe that just getting alone with God and just asking God, what is the purpose of this time? Like what, because I mean really there's obviously, you know, we think about being married or being in a relationship, and there's just so many things that come to mind, like all the Hallmark movie, like, you know, all the possibilities, and like, oh man, Christmas would be so fun, that's right around the corner, guys. Going to Disney or whatever. But it's like, what about all the pros of being single? Like really consider that. Like I love that I have freedom to travel whenever, wherever I want, and I don't have to ask anyone. Like, you know, let's just be real. Like, what is it in your life that it's like, you know, you can use this time to really to grow ourselves, to grow our relationship with God, to be a friend like that you wouldn't have the time to invest in those relationships, you know, once you do have that significant other. So I just think there's so many benefits to being single.
Yes, and that's like really what I see in your life too. It's just that being single for you is not a burden.
Right.
And sometimes, as I mentioned in the beginning, like we just see singleness as a burden. And I love that what you said. It's just like we have to embrace it and see it as a pro, in the sense that there's so much things that you can do as a single person in the season that you're currently in that you are not going to be able to do when you have a mate. And for her, it's traveling all over the world. I mean, you guys, I'm telling you, go to her Instagram. It is just full of pictures of her traveling all over and just having those experiences that are going to help you grow as an individual, and lifelong experiences that now you have because you were able to go on those trips. And not to say that when you're with somebody you're limited to traveling, but I think there's a cool dynamic that you can literally buy a plane ticket and then jump on a flight and be wherever you want to be.
And I just want to add to that, like, because I know so many friends that are like, well, I don't want to do that by myself, or, you know, I just like, how do you do that? Like, how are you comfortable doing it? And, you know, it is stepping out of your comfort zone some, but I would say, like, if that's something, since we're talking about traveling, like, if you have never, like, traveled by yourself, or we can start small, like, maybe go to the beach by yourself, or, you know, the movies.
Dinner,
I think going to the movies, honestly, by myself is so much fun. You know why? Because I can sneak in and not have to.
She did not say that. We're gonna take that out.
Nah, I'm kidding. But you know, like, I think there's a lot of fun. Like, so like a few years back, I had in my heart, I was like, I've never done like a completely solo trip.
Yes.
And I was like, I had all these Sky Miles and stuff, and then there was this conference happening in Hawaii, and I'm like, why not just go to Hawaii? I'm like, that sounds so crazy, but I'm like, I just want to do it. So I booked a ticket completely by myself. Like, I knew no one. No, I knew like one pastor friend who was going to have me speak for a Sunday, but other than that, you know, I didn't even really know that person that well at the time. So it's just like, all right, gonna go for this. And I go, the moment that I landed in the airport, someone's saying my name, and I'm like, no one knows me here, like, this is so weird. And it was like my roommate in college, like a friend of my roommate that was from Hawaii and lived there. So she took me surfing one day. And then this other person, and I just would say, like, be open to anything. Like, I mean, I've slept in some crazy places and it's okay. Like, yo, you're young, you're single, you can just live your life. And it was just like crazy. Everything that happened, like, God ended up giving me lifelong friends on that trip. And that was my first solo trip. I mean, I really have kind of become addicted to it, of like, I love traveling with friends, I love traveling with family, but I think going places by yourself is just so much fun. Like, for me, I know that it just makes me really like aware of the people around me, which allows me just to like make new friends everywhere that I go. I just love that. And then also just like focus on God and being like, hey, and just like listening to him. So I would just really encourage you, like, do not be afraid to do things by yourself. Like, there is life to be lived.
Yes, and movie theaters to sneak into. So the next question I have, obviously, it is the daily chat. I try to incorporate faith in it in some way, along with motivation. So relationship with God is so important, especially as a single. You have more time than anything, because you're in charge of yourself. So what does your time with God look like, as would you say, like, when you're in a relationship and maybe like now as a single? Or what would you encourage people who are watching that to embrace the season of being single, because it's the most time you're going to be able to like read your Bible for as long as you want, or spend time in worship, or go to conferences like you said, and also just like really hone in on your deep relationship with God, not making it surface level, but like really knowing his heart and what he has for you.
Definitely the amount of time that you do have, because I mean, obviously there are those difficult times of being single. Like, you know what, I just really wish that I could just be with a man who loves me right now. And you know, it's like Jesus is that, like, obviously he wants he wants to fulfill every desire, but right now, like, he is our all in all. He should always be our all in all, even single or not, you know, whatever. Like, that will never change. And I believe that that's gonna like enrich that future relationship so much more when Jesus is your all in all. He completes you, that you're not looking to someone else to complete you. Because I mean, no relationship is ever going to be perfect. Just like being single, it's never going to be completely perfect, but yet in it all we can enjoy it. And just I think that there's this level of intimacy that you don't have when you are just alone in life, you know, and where he's your rock. You can talk to him about anything, and you know he's always with you. And just letting that be like more of just like, I love just my like quiet time with the Lord, but realizing like he's not in a certain place that I visit like once a day. No, he's with me all day long.
I love that. I love that. He is portable. You can take him wherever you go. So lastly, on your book, which you guys, I'll have the link in the bio, you guys can check it out. But the title of your book is "Will You Will Not Be Remembered for That?" And then it says receiving God's love, loving yourself, and moving forward. And as you mentioned in the beginning, you are divorced and you had went through a marriage, and in this book you talk about imperfection. And then I love here, I quoted the page. It talks about go forward, this is your time. So like as we're closing up this video, can you kind of just tell whoever's watching what that really means, and what does it mean that you will not be remembered for that, but what it means to also that this is your time, there's no better time than you will have right now.
Right. You know, that's a phrase, you will not be remembered for that, that like I said, after going through all that and my identity being complete, you know, God just had to, it was like starting from ground zero of like, okay, you are not what your past says about you. You're not your relationship says. You're not anything from this outward, you know, what's coming against you from the outside. But God's just saying, you know, he's making you brand new, and that this is a new season in your life. No matter what pain, even let's say if you've been single for a while and you feel like maybe you used to have vision, you used to have passion for life, but you feel like those dreams have really settled down to the bottom. Well, God's saying this is your time. He's made you brand new, and that this is a new season. Like right now, wherever you are watching this, that you can just believe God that this is a new season in your life, that you're gonna live with that passion, with those dreams like never before. And I just believe that vision is just so important for us to live with. If we're not living with vision, we're really not living and experiencing life the way Jesus has intended for us to live. So you know, he has vision, he has purpose for you. So I would just say, you know, take some time with God, maybe right after this video if you want, and just ask God, like, what is my purpose for this time? And just ask him for the courage, ask him for the strength, just to step out of your comfort zone and to fully embrace it. And I believe that as we do, we're just gonna know a joy and just a freedom like never before.
I love it. I love it. Well guys, that is all I have for this video. This is just a little bit of Olivia. If you want to see more, she does stuff on her Instagram. So like I said, make sure to check her out. All her stuff will be down in the description box. And then also her book will be located down there as well. But if you guys like what we talked about today, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and also leave a comment. I mean, if you guys have any suggestions for video ideas or comments about being single and secure, being single and confident, and what that even means to you. And I would hope that in this video we really did encourage you not to look at your single season as a burden, but look at it almost like as an opportunity to grow, an opportunity to get closer to God, to have a closer relationship with him, and to really be adventurous. We didn't talk about it, but this girl right here, okay, she has a bus. I will enter a picture here. Her bus is named WALLY.
WALLY the Wagon.
WALLY the Wagon. And she traveled it was on the East Coast.
I did. I want to do some more, but and you know that, I don't know if we have time to mention this, but you know, that was something I always had this dream of, like, all right, one day when I'm married, I'm gonna travel the country like in an RV, and it was always this one day when I'm married dream. When all of a sudden God was like, why don't you just do it now? And I was like, how can I do that? But you know, and I just believe when you step out that you can do those things right now, guys. But
That's true. So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe so you can see more like it, and we will see you in my next video. God bless you, and don't forget to live an intentional life. Bye.